Hi again, people. Well, these are going to be 30-minute clips of the preliminary hearing, and I'll be discussing, I'll make a playlist if you want to watch it, discussing what the cops testifying, why the attorneys are asking what they're turning. It's more of a legal type, I don't know, education on behind the scenes, what the lawyers and judges and how evidence gets in, etc. So I'll just be sharing my experience and evaluating how the defense attorneys are doing questioning and how the prosecution case is put together and how the cop who's testifying does good or bad and how it hurts the case, helps the case. I'll also be throwing out some tips for the defense attorneys that I think they're missing opportunities on this case. So if you want to watch, here they come. How you going, people? Well, this is the prelim hearing on the Arbery case. If you remember, Arbery was the kind student who was just jogging, happened to stop by places under construction and trespassed, and then fought with a guy with a shotgun. Here, I'll be CNN. A black man ran up to a white man who was holding a shotgun, tried to take it, and when the gun accidentally went off, black man died. That's the opposite of CNN coverage. Now, the way CNN covered it, black man out jogging, white man with shotgun shoots him. So which one really happened? Well, they're both kind of right. Let's see what this News Now says. Preliminary hearing underway, Travis. And the biggest thing about watching this, which is a pain in the butt, is the commercials. Biden has like 14 commercials in the middle. Like every once in a while, it just stops and Biden pipes up, "Hi, join my team to help whatever." I mean, it's just so freaking typical of, I guess they expect anybody that's watching this must believe the narrative. So, this is the detective, and I might have to make a series on this because there is some really great stuff. This is a 3-hour video, but I'm just, right now, I'm going to go over the cross-examination on the prelim. We call it a prelim, but it's a preliminary hearing. So, the way the court works is if I arrest you, you go to jail, they read the probable cause statement, they do your bail, and you get to bail out, or you sit in jail until you have a preliminary hearing. When you have a preliminary hearing, now some places use a grand jury, but we're going to talk about prelim hearing. When you go to your preliminary hearing, the only thing that needs to be done at the prelim is the DA has to show the judge, 1, we think a crime has occurred, 2, we think this person did it. And that's about it. So you think that would be rather easy, but it gets into a lot of, was there a suppression issue? Was there probable cause to detain? What was the probable cause? So you have to kind of line up a lot of things. I can't tell you how many preliminary hearings I've been to because there's just many. So in a prelim hearing, they're usually a lot lower key than the regular trial because you don't have the jury, everybody's not stepping. So attorneys can get away with a little bit more and be a little bit more aggressive or bend the rules because it's only in front of the judge. So the judge will kind of give the attorneys a little bit of leeway. He won't shut them down because he knows this isn't really the jury hearing it. And so preliminary hearings are a little bit different of a monster. I didn't mind them. I actually liked them a little bit better because kind of the gloves were off. Everybody wasn't being a pink panty wimpy in front of the jury and trying to kiss the jury's butt. I mean, to me, my testimony didn't change. I don't give a shit. It is what it is. I'll say it the same way at a prelim as I will at a jury trial. However, the attorneys, big difference. They're all about making sure the juries don't like them. Make sure the juries do like them. Don't say anything that's mean. They're very apologetic. Now, because this is being videotaped, I noticed the attorneys are a little apologetic. They're very special. When they talk about the N-word, it's a really bad word, and I know it's hard to say, and I want you to say it, and what? Come on, it's a freaking word. I mean, whatever. Anyway, we'll get into that. So, The first part of this video, and I've just been, because it's 3 hours, I've just been turning it on my phone when I'm walking up and down the driveway, getting a little exercise, and I just listen to it in the background while I'm walking. But for cops who have never testified, or for most people who have never been in a courtroom, I'm going to kind of give you the ins and outs of what the attorney really means, what's really going on, what the investigator is doing good and bad, what I think the attorney's doing good and bad. So I find this very interesting. I enjoyed the courtroom duels. I think I won more than I lost, and when I did lose, actually, I don't really think I lost. It was just political that they decided to go against the rules, because I was never found to have violated something. The judge said, well, I'm not real sure, you know, or maybe it could have. Things like that were said. It was never like, look, you clearly violated the law. You were clearly wrong. I was never told that. I also was thinking about the other day, because I've been pretty hard on cops because they've been acting like jerks every damn time I turn it on. And I never sent anybody I arrested, and I made hundreds, hell, I probably close to 1,000, if not more than multiple thousands of arrests, felony arrests, violent people fighting. I fought with a lot of people. I used a lot of force to get people into custody because they were fighting, running, trying to get away, search warrants, running from vehicles, etc. I never put one suspect in the hospital. Never. Nowadays, it seems like everybody the police contact, they end up going to the freaking hospital. I never put a suspect in a hospital. Now, I did have to take a couple for medical clearances because they were crying about complaint of pain, and I was, you know, I used too much force, and then they were cleared and they went to jail. So even when they went to jail, you know, they went to hospital, they x-rayed them, they did the CAT scans, they spent thousands of dollars because they knew it was government money, they didn't care, so they just padded the bill and did every test in the freaking world, probably test them for freaking VE, you know, that's a venereal disease for people that, well, I think they call it STDs now. But anyway, I digress. Anyway, let's get to, I guess I had to give a little bit, because somebody's going to come here and, but who this guy, he don't know what he's talking about. I've got plenty of experience in a courtroom, people. And what I'm telling you here is my take. Maybe you'll disagree, maybe you won't. Maybe there'll be some attorneys that'll say he's full of shit, it's not true. You know, and I may not get every law exactly right to where somebody can come here and say, well, that's not the law is that. But I'm going to give you the gist of what's really going on behind the scenes that you don't know if you're watching this. So let's see here. Where we
had Mr. Travis McMichael made any admissions about choosing to chase the victim with this pickup truck you described?
Yes.
He was the driver of that truck?
He was the driver of the truck, yes.
I now want to turn...
Okay, so in this part, this is the prosecutor questioning his witness. Now, why does that matter? Rick, it should be the truth and it shouldn't be his witness. Well, the cops are always the prosecution witness. Cops are part of the prosecution team. That's why if a cop tells you you got immunity and you're not going to be charged, and you give him information and then you get charged, you can't get charged later because he's part of the team and he made a deal. Now the DAs will tell cops they're not allowed to give that deal, but if you give it, it's got to be withheld. So anyway, this cop has met with the DA. They've gone over. He knows what he's going to be asked, and he's rehearsed the questions. Okay, so. And I call that as a friendly witness. Most cops are friendly witnesses to the DA. You don't get too many DAs where they have a argumentative, uncooperative cop. For a lot of reasons. One, if he complains to your agency, you'll get written up because you have a policy that says when you go to court, you'll be professional, you'll help, you'll blah, 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 blah. So you can't go in there and be a jerk to the DA. I mean, you can, if the DA's lying or screwing something up, you can tell him he's full of shit and it's wrong, or if you're not going to lie, but you can't go in there and be obstructive because he'll complain to the agency. So that's why I think most cops are what I call friendly witnesses to the DA. Now, the defense, the people who are defending the suspect, most cops are not friendly witnesses. But it doesn't mean it's adversarial to the point to where you're labeled as a hostile witness. If the attorney can get you labeled as a hostile witness, they can ask you very leading questions to where you can answer yes and no. They don't let you explain, and they really like lock you down. I mean, I think I've only been determined a hostile witness maybe 2 or 3 times that I can remember. Maybe it was more, but I think it's just 2 or 3. And it's basically when the defense attorney really can't get you to answer, and he would ask these stupid questions, and I would give him answers that he didn't like, and he got pissed off, and he would tell the judge. And this guy does it once or twice here. I'll point it out when he does it. And you know, the attorney be like, Your Honor, can I get him as a hostile witness because he's refusing to answer, and he's repeating, and he's not answering my questions like I ask. And they start crying and whining, and every once in a while, the judge says, all right, I'll go ahead and declare Detective Gore a hostile witness at this point. Go ahead. And now he gets to ask me all kind of shit, whatever. I was like, whatever, do your little freaking game. I still said shit. Every once in a while, the judge would be like, Detective Gore, please refrain from giving your opinion unless it's asked for by the court. Yes, sir. All right, here we go. So right now he's being questioned by the prosecution, which is his friendly. So he's not defensive. His answers are sharp and clear, and the prosecution leads him to where he wants to go. You'll hear these questions. If you watch the prosecution, it'll be very easy for him to answer. Isn't it true that on this date and at this time, you did your report and you found this? And the cop will go, yes. Very easy. And instead of asking the cop, can you tell me the date and time that this happened? Because now the cop has to remember. So the DA makes it easier on the cop, which I don't have a problem with, because it sucks when you get up there and you're working a case, you know, a year ago, and you got other 14 cases that you're working now, and you're trying to go back to a case that you just reviewed that you really haven't looked at in a year because you've been working all these other cases, and now you get dates and times and everything's mixed up, and they try to make a big deal out of it. So the prosecution helping you is a good thing, I think, because it's still the truth. It's just going through the system, and you don't have to play the game to get to it.
Your attention to Mr. Roddy Bryan, and are you aware of any admissions that he made both to Glenn County Police Department as well as investigators with the Georgia Bureau of Investigation?
Sorry, I just took a big drink of my coffee and it burnt my damn throat.
About his role in this particular crime that led to the arrest warrants you obtained.
Yes, sir, I am.
Can you describe generally for the court some of those?
I just noticed this little red button right here. Usually in a courtroom, if there was a panic button, this would be like the light switch. It's red, like meaning don't touch it unless there's a panic. Rick, you can't tell that. That's secret courtroom stuff. Whatever.
Specific admissions that were made by Mr. Bryan.
Mr. Bryan admits to joining the pursuit of Mr. Arbery.
You notice he's looking at the judge now because this is a preliminary hearing. The judge has to determine whether or not there's probable cause for this arrest and for it to go to trial. So that's why he's answering the judge. If the jury was there, he would be looking at the jury. So you don't talk to the judge unless I want to say something. And in a minute, I'm going to tell him where, even if it was in front of jury trial, he should have turned to the judge and said, I'm not comfortable with this question. But we're still on the prosecution here.
He admits to trying to block Mr. Arbery in, trying to detain him several times, both before Mr. Arbery turned onto Holmes Road and then while on Holmes Road.
Did he make any admissions to using his vehicle to redirect the victim within the...
Notice a lot of the positive head nodding. When he talks and when he's speaking, he's nodding, yes, 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 I'm telling the truth. Yes, yes, yes. Yes, I believe what I'm saying. Yes, yes, yes. Can that be fake? Yeah. I think this detective does a pretty good job. Now, the reason why they give a case like this to a senior guy, this guy's had some courtroom experience. I think he misses a couple things that he should have done, and I'll try to point those out. But overall, he does pretty good at answering the questions coming off professionally. And the reason why they pick him is because instead of putting 14 cops on, if he's the case agent, he gets to interview everything and he has full access to everything. The other cops don't have full access to everything. Well, they're not supposed to. They're only supposed to deal with what they have. Now, obviously, they talk to other cops and they know what's going on. And when a cop testifies, comes back, goes, oh, man, they tore me up on this shit, blah, blah. And he goes, oh, man, I got to testify against that, too. It's not like they're trying to set it up, but they find out things. But they can't sit in the courtroom and hear everybody's testimony. Only the case agent and the prosecutor's allowed to sit in there. Again, government gets the advantage on every corner trying to arrest you, which is why government needs to be held accountable. They get to put you in prison. They get to hold you before you're found guilty. They get to take away your freedom and livelihood. And then if you're found not guilty, they get to let you out and go, sorry, we're going to refile. We're going to try it again. So government gets all the advantages, which is why I'm so freaking hard on government and cops. And people come here, you just hate cops, you just hate government, you're anti-government, you want to overthrow it. No. The Constitution is supposed to restrict government. It was put there so government would not be doing what it's doing exactly today.
Satilla Shores neighborhood prior to the fatal shooting?
Yes, he did.
And did he talk about the victim doubling back?
He keeps leaning over the mic. This is a little inexperienced move. Put the freaking mic, bend it. It's on a thing. It looks unprofessional, and you do it. He's going to forget to do it in a minute. Attorney's going to have to ask him, I can't hear you, and then he'll lean over to it. Instead of just bending the damn mic and put it in front of you so you don't have to keep moving your neck, he doesn't do that.
Back and trying to get away from this vehicle?
He did, yes, several times.
Did he confirm for you that the video you've now seen and collected was made by him on his cell phone?
He did.
Did he also confirm, he being Mr. Bryan, that he saw Travis stopped in the middle of the roadway as Mr. Bryan was driving after Mr. Arbery, leading to the fatal shooting?
He did.
Notice these questions, a lot of people will call them leading, but notice how he tells him the answer, so all he has to do is say he did. He doesn't have to remember things. He doesn't have to articulate it. The attorney can read it. He writes the question. He reads it. He gets the information he wants on the record, and he gets the cop just to confirm it versus the cop testifying to that. Now, when the prosecution or when the defense starts questioning him, he's going to do the opposite. He's going to want him to explain. I want him to talk so I can trick him up. The more he talks, the more he explains, the more I can trick him up and get him to misstep on a date, on a time. I can get him to where he changed something or where he contradicted himself. And then I'll go back and then I can ask him. So the defense just wants to get the information on the record and have him to corroborate it. And all he gets to do is, yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, that's correct. Yes, that's correct.
Witness being able to identify the McMichaels because they're seen on video, but because defendant has waived his presence for Mr. Bryan, we're not able to do an in-court identification of him. Are you stipulating to identification? Okay. So for our record, I'll ask the court to accept that stipulation that Mr. Bryan, though not present for this particular hearing, has been identified had this witness been able to be asked about that particular issue.
All right, I would accept that.
Thank you, sir. The last thing that I think I need to talk to you about, well, last couple things. This is going to involve an uncomfortable conversation, and you and I have talked about this a couple of times. Is that correct?
Yes, sir, we have.
You know that I'm...
Okay, here comes the N-word, where he has to say nigger, and everybody's like offended, and you can't say it. Every rap song out there says nigger. Cops call each other nigger. I mean, when I arrested dude, they called me nigger. Yo, nigga, why you arrested me? So I got called nigga. My partner, it was a joke when he got in the car. I go, what's up, my nigga? I go, yo, my nigga, what's up? And he was Mexican, by the way. So I don't know if he's allowed to say it. I don't think white people are allowed. I don't know if Mexican people, I mean, black people even say it to white dudes. Yo, my nigga, what's up? It's not the end. And then somebody's going to be here that's going to argue about, well, it's how you say it. Because nigga's okay, but nigger is not okay. If you use ER, it's bad. If you use A, it's not bad. Or if you use A and you're black, it's okay. I mean, give me a freaking break. It's a damn word. If somebody wants to say, hey, man, you're an N-word, is it any better than if I say, hey, you're a nigger? I mean, to me, this word game, this anti-free speech, this special hate words that only special people get to say and no one else, that's how you create division. That's how you create more hate. That's how you create more unfairness, and you give people on both sides thinking it's bullshit. But anyway, so here's this uncomfortable conversation where they got one of these guys calling him a stupid nigger or fucking nigger at the end of this, which is gonna hurt his case. I mean, this is going to be bad because everybody's just going to be so reactive to this word that nobody's allowed to say except black people. And the person that said it wasn't black, so now it's bad.
I want to ask you about a particular quote that Travis McMichael stated on the crime scene that was overheard by one of the defendants and shared with investigators prior to police arriving, correct?
That's correct, yes, sir.
And though this may be an uncomfortable conversation for the benefit of the court and for the record, we're making it clear that this is not your quote, it's not the GBI's quote. This is a quote from a statement of Mr. Bryan as to what he heard Travis McMichael say prior to police arriving, correct?
Very much so, yes, sir.
Understanding that and understanding that it might be a little uncomfortable to talk about the words because it involves a curse word and something else, I need to ask you about that quote. Can you please articulate for the court what Mr. Bryan said he heard Travis McMichael say prior to police arriving and after the fatal shooting?
Yes, Mr. Bryan said that after the shooting took place, before police arrival, while Mr. Arbery was on the ground, that he heard Travis McMichael make the statement, "fucking nigger."
Okay, so that's a crucial statement. To me, it doesn't hold near as much weight as, I mean, look, just because somebody says that doesn't mean he wanted to kill him, doesn't mean he tried to kill him, doesn't mean he did this because he was black. He was pissed off. If he'd have said, let's say he would have said fucking asshole, would everybody be okay with that and agree with that? Okay, let's say if he'd have said fucking N-word, would that be bad? Could you not say N-word? But because he said nigger, now we have a problem. And that's why when you get words that aren't supposed to be spoken, you see the attorney and everybody getting all upset and I can't say it. Dude, there's so many songs that if you sing with the song, I mean, we used to play Tupac, Fuck the Police, when we took people to jail. We'd ask them. I'd have a few CDs in my car that when we got stolen cars, we'd have CDs that weren't claimed. They were going to trash them at the tow yard. So we'd put them in our car, and they were all with the kids and the stolen guys that would steal cars, and I'd keep them in my car. And when I arrested a dude and I was taking him to jail, I go, dude, man, we're going to play some tunes. What do you want to listen to? Tupac, whatever. You know, whoever we had, we'd give them a few CDs and go, which one you want to hear? Yo, man, play Tupac, Fuck the Police. I'd be like, all right. So we'd all be singing, all of us, Fuck the Police as we're driving to jail because it wasn't personal. It wasn't, it wasn't like we were trying to belittle anybody. And there were songs that talked about nigger this and nigger and you my hoe and that. I mean, we've gotten into this freaking word police bullshit to where people can't communicate, and if they do, you're automatically a racist if you say this word and you're white, but if you're black and you say it, it's cool and it's culture. What word can white people say that we're cool, but we don't want black people or anybody else to say? Somebody tell me that word. Somebody tell me the word that Asians use that only they can use, and if anybody else uses it, it's really bad and mean, but it's their word. See, that's what happens when you want to create division and tell people that they're victims and that words hurt. When I was growing up, sticks and stones may break your bones. If somebody called you a name and you cried, it was like, dude, get over it. It's a freaking name. You know what? Move on. Now, it's some crushing thing that will change your existence in the world, and everybody has to apologize before we even have to say in a testimony to quote what somebody said. Unless you're singing it, or unless you're a black guy, because I can't go play basketball at the local gym here without having every black dude out there, yo, nigga, get out of my way, black nigga, shit. I mean, I can't play basketball anywhere with black people without hearing nigger 20,000 times. But that's okay. I'm supposed to accept that because, you know, I mean, that's my penance for being white. I mean, it's just freaking crazy.
Since becoming involved in this investigation, you've acquired a number of other videos that have been reviewed, is that right?
Yes, sir, that's correct.
And I want to ask you, because we're talking about principles involving party of the crime and things like that, have you also had an opportunity, you and your agency, to review any jail recordings?
We have, yes, sir.
People, when you're in jail, all recordings are recorded. Why? I don't even know why people in jail talk about anything other than absolutely, I need this or I don't need that or get my attorney. I mean, we listen to so many jail interviews and idiots be talking to their girlfriend. Yeah, man, I had to stab him because, you know, he disrespected me. And he literally said it on the freaking jail recording talking to his girlfriend, and we're just looking at each other like, sweet, that's going to go over well in front of the jury. And then the guy ends up taking a plea, kind of like George Floyd did. He took a plea for 5 years. So when people get caught really bad, they take really good pleas because they don't want to go to trial. But anyway, I mean, look, people, if you're in jail, you're listened to. They're going to review your tapes, especially in a high-profile case.
So I want to ask a couple of things regarding the jail recordings and also about conversations between the defendants prior to the arrest. Was there a delay before you were involved in the case and able to secure the arrest warrants that are the subject of this preliminary hearing?
There was, yes, sir.
Have you had an opportunity to review whether there's any evidence that the defendants communicated with each other after the fatal shooting but prior to the arrest warrants in this case?
Yes, sir, I have.
And tell the court what you found about that, since we're talking about party to the crime and conspiracy culpability in just a few minutes.
Yes, we have uncovered evidence through statements that Greg McMichael had conversation with Mr. Bryan concerning the video and the incident.
Okay. And specifically, have you acquired a jail call where any of the McMichaels refer to Mr. Bryan in a favorable way?
I have. During a jail call that my agency obtained and reviewed, Greg McMichael was on the phone with a caller. The caller asked him about Mr. Bryan. At first, Mr. McMichael says he can't talk about it, and then he says that Mr. Bryan is an ally.
He uses the term ally, referencing his co-defendant, Mr. Bryan.
Okay, so what we just did here, this is called discrediting a witness before he even gets on a stand. So because he's an ally, because these guys are neighbors, they're friends, and they were both chasing somebody they thought committed a crime, of course they're friends and allies. But that's not the way it was just made out. It was made out that these guys are tight, and they're going to lie, and they both think the same, and they believe the same. And if one person said, what was it, shitty nigger, whatever he said, and I mean, I don't need to say the word a whole bunch, but I said it enough to get you to understand that it's a freaking word, people. I mean, good God. But anyway, that was the thing. They want to tie the other co-defendant to this person. Because if we can get his attorney fearful that, oh, shit, now they're going to try to say my guy said it, or my guy was okay with it, or my guy laughed when he said it, or my guy agreed with it. Now they're going to try to get my guy, man, I better have my guy cut a deal. So let's all turn on the one guy. And that's why people turn. Everybody turns. Very rarely is there honor among thieves. Is there honor among people facing prison time? People don't want to go to prison. And when the government puts their boot on your neck, you will usually say and do whatever they want, no matter how bad or how tough you think you are. So that what this one little statement was boom. They're working together. They believe the same. They're friends. We can't believe anything he says. He even said it on video. He said it on a recording that they're cohorts, that they work together, that they're allies, that they conspired to do this. This will be the image that'll be painted to the jury.
He does.
This is after the McMichael's arrest, but prior to Mr. Bryan's arrest?
That's correct.
Just a moment.
So I think they're pretty much done with
this time, Judge.
All right. Have the defendants made a decision about the order?
Okay, so they're done here, and then they take a break, and the defense starts his questioning. And that's the part that I want to get to, because the defense, you'll notice the different in questioning. So I wanted to give you a little bit of how the prosecution gives them softballs, how friendly he was. This is really where the learning comes in, because the defense, because these guys are going to make you think, they're going to challenge you, they're going to try and trip you up, and you're going to notice how the cop answers differently. The cop is much more careful with his words. The cop thinks. You're also going to notice that the defense never objected once when the prosecution asks. you're going to notice that the prosecution now, the DA, will start objecting when the defense is asking this guy questions. So I think they're about to start here. I'm bumping it forward. They're getting up here. All right, let's see where we're at. No, maybe not.
Done. I'll call her Roddy if he's still there. If not, it's okay.
Where's the judge at? Look at this dude with his rainbow flag. What the hell? Pink tie, ponytail. Gee, he didn't vote for Obama. He's a Pelosi fan. Oh, good grief. I didn't notice that the first time. Rick, why are you picking on his tie and his rainbow mat? I'm not. I'm just pointing out. All these things have symbols. They mean something. Just because I'm willing to say it doesn't make it untrue. It's just other people are scared to say it and say it don't exist. How did stereotypes become stereotypes? Because they're normally true. Damn, this is a long video. Let me pause this and get to... Okay, it looks like the judge finally got his ass out of the bench, quit eating his donuts, and get your ass back out on the bench. Dude, don't put the mask over your eyes. You gotta see. Put it over your nose. You don't know how to wear a freaking mask. Look. Dude, can somebody go show him how to put his mask on? He's hearing this case. He can't get a damn mask on?
Your Honor, very much appreciate the opportunity that you have given us by holding this hearing, and done so amidst the chaos for what's happening out in the world with coronavirus and what's happening outside. We obviously respect both of the families in this ordeal.
Okay, so this normally wouldn't happen at a preliminary hearing. The only reason this is happening, this would normally happen during a jury trial. Nice rainbow mask. Oh, he's a defense attorney. No freaking wonder. Most attorneys are liberal, but defense attorneys are almost always liberal. Nice tie-dye. Wow, can we get the Grateful Dead playing in the background with your ponytail, dude? Come on.
This tragedy, and our hearts go out to the Arbery's.
Okay, so this, again, only happens during the jury because he's public opinion. Because this is being videotaped and they know it's being put out over the net, that's why this was done. Normally, you wouldn't see this, what I call grandstanding, making political, making points, saying unnecessary bullshit, trying to make somebody like you or not dislike you, being offended by the N-word. Ooh, man, don't say it, the N.
We will proceed this morning with our cross-examination of Special Agent Dial. Special Agent, I'm Jason Sheffield. We've had the...
You know what? This 30 minutes, I want to make a part 2 on this defense. So those that want to come back and watch it. It gets pretty good in here because he kind of trips the guy up. And I'm going to get into how he messes up. And what's good about having multiple defendants is this is one lawyer for one defendant. This is another lawyer, and this is another lawyer. Maybe this guy, one of these two guys. I don't know which one he is. So one of these two is a lawyer. Maybe they both have co-counsel because this might end up. This isn't a capital case. What they charge him with second degree. So this lawyer, everything he brings up, these two lawyers get to capitalize on and say, oh, I'm going to use that, or I'm going to use that. If this guy makes a mistake, this lawyer goes, oh, man, I don't want to go there because that kind of bit him in the ass. So I know not to go there. So you really get 3 bites at the apple. When you're a cop on the stand and you look out and you got multiple attorneys that they all get their bite at you, it's kind of intimidating. It's kind of... I mean, you get a little sweaty up there. You're like, shit, what? And then if you screw up, if this cop screws up on this guy, he's going to like, shit. These two guys are both going to bring that shit up now. I got to hear it 3 more times before I leave. So, and not only does it make the case go longer and it keeps you on a stand longer, but it gives 3 different lawyers the ability to attack different issues. And they can all come at you at different directions. So a case with multiple lawyers is much harder to keep your shit together and not get caught with your pants down or step on your pee-pee. So that's just something. But I'm going to make a part 2, and maybe I'll just make a Arbery playlist on this, because this is probably going to go on for a while. This is just a prelim. We haven't really started with the real trial yet. So, but we're getting some good information. I didn't know he used the N-word. I think you got to whisper it. It's not even correct to even say it out loud. N-word! Oh, no, that's bad. You got to whisper it. Okay, so we didn't know that he used the N-word. And there was another thing that was pretty important. What did he say? I think one of the guys that was yelling, "Don't shoot him," and I don't know which one, but the guy admitted he shot him 3 times or something. And, of course, the witnesses about where they get into the intent of burglary. But I'll get to that when he gets into it. All right, here we go. This is the end of part 1. Part 2 is coming up.